Hello and welcome. No, wait, that's not right. Bonjour and hola. Oh boy, man, it's been a minute. How did this go again? Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to the first episode of 2024 for the Back of the Pack podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for tuning in. It feels weird that we're actually back again and recording a podcast episode. I don't know about you guys, but it feels very strange to me. Also, very strange to be doing a running podcast. See, look, the rust is already showing off on a day where it is snowing heavily outside the window of the new podcast studio. And running today is not going to happen. Maybe not for a couple days, as here in Kansas City, the weather has turned to garbaggio, which will happen in January, and is certainly happening to us right now. But what are you going to do? It's wintertime. It's winter in the Midwest, and that's kind of how things work. But hey, thank you all so much for tuning in to this first episode of 2024. I have actually missed recording episodes. I know that is very strange. You would think it's only been a couple weeks. It was the holidays. It's fine. Nope, I actually kind of miss doing this. However, the time off did allow for me to do a little work in the house. I'm in a new room. I am not where I was previously within my home. As you can see, we're trying to decorate. If you happen to be watching on YouTube or wherever else you might see the podcast, but we've got our cool little light system here, which I'm going to have to keep tinkering with because the lights that I am using to shoot the podcast are kind of drowning that out. So you can't really tell that it lights up, but it's a light up microphone. That's what it's supposed to be. It's a light up microphone. And then we've got our Back of the Pack podcast stuck on the wall. And then we've got some medals here. This is just going to be kind of our featured medals section. So if you look here at the top where I'm pointing right now, these are the full marathons. All right, all the way down here to the end. Ooh, I've got to go that way. There it is. To the Memphis Marathon that we just finished with. All the way over here is Tulsa from way back when. And then we've got a couple of the virtual marathons we did. And then last year's Heartland 30K series with the KC Hustle Run right there, kind of featured prominently. And then down here, just some series and some races that meant a lot to me. There's the one and only triathlon that I'll probably ever do. That one's here on this, but oh, the Good Life Habsies right off my shoulder. So yeah, so this is just kind of the look that we're going with. Hopefully it looks a little better than what I had going before. But yeah, and I'm hoping that I'm in a room that has a lot less echoing action as the last one did. So again, we're trying to improve everything for you all. Now, before we get started, as we are just kind of jumping in, here's kind of what we decided in our weeks off as myself and Mrs. Back of the Pack podcast have been kind of trying to figure out what this year and life and things are going to look like. We are going hard on this podcast in 2024. Okay. This is going to be what I kind of feel like is the make or break year for the Back of the Pack podcast. We're either going to get to the end of 2024 looking good and growing. And if we're not, we'll probably just, say, hey, we had some fun with it for a while. But, if you ain't growing, you're dying. And I want this thing to grow. You guys know that. I've made no bones about that. So for anyone who listens to this show, the ways you can help me out are this: like it, share it, comment on it. That's all you got to do. Subscribe to it where you can. If you like listening to podcasts, if you are a Spotify person, please, by all means, Spotify, subscribe, or whatever it's called. It's free service. Subscribe to it. Leave a review. Leave a 5-star review. Of course, I would love 5 stars, but leave a review. Tell people why you like it. Same thing if you're on Apple Podcasts. By all means, give it however many stars you feel are worthy, and then write a review as to why you like it. We desperately need people subscribing to the YouTube channel. Again, I know the YouTube thing is a little clumsy right now. You got to go look for the Back of the Pack podcast. The is very important to find the correct YouTube channel. Our old channel that we no longer have access to is still floating around out there in the ether somewhere. We don't want you subscribing to that hunk of junk. We want you on this one, the new one with the logo that is now right here on my hat. Ta-da! So please subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the videos, comment on the videos, share it on Facebook, follow on Instagram. We're on TikTok now. Again, the Back of the Pack podcast on TikTok. I'm doing my best with that thing. I am not a millennial or Gen X. No, I'm sorry, I am Gen X or Gen Z person. that knows much about this TikTok stuff. So I'm doing my best. If you're a TikTok person, let me know how I can get better. But that is really how we're going to grow in this year. We do have a Patreon page out there. I've done nothing with it. We still have no Patreon members. I am going to try and get that back out there, get it all up to date. I'm trying to find the right benefit to maybe entice people to help out. This podcast does cost money every month. And since I bring nothing in, that's all out of pocket. But again, I don't mind because I have a lot of fun doing this. But for the sake of 2024, we want growth. We want things to get better, not worse. Not that they're bad. They're fine for what they are. But who doesn't want to get better? We all want to get better. It's just like you're training. If you're training for a marathon, you don't want to go out there and suck. You want to improve. You want to do better than your last marathon. So, same things in the podcast world. So, audience participation is the number one thing that will help this podcast grow. Like us, comment, review, share, subscribe, all those things. All those things are insanely important to this podcast. So I'm going to humbly beg upon you guys to do so. A lot of you do, and I really thank you. And you really don't know how much it means to me every time I see you guys post something about the show. Whether you share an episode or you just tell people, hey, check this out, or if you comment on something, like it really does mean a lot to me. And so I really appreciate it. Now, one of the signs that I think we are starting to arrive, and this happened just today. So, right before I decided to record here, we're now being spammed. How cool is that? On the old Facebook, we now had one of those spam bots that have gone in there and they're saying, hey, you can buy a hoodie if you follow this link. And, they steal our logo and put it on this generic looking hoodie. And so it lit up on a whole bunch of messages. It responded to people and said, oh, buy our stuff on this. Okay, listen, y'all, my dearest of friends, there's never going to be some name that you don't know that is telling you to buy our stuff. Don't do that. That is 100% a scam. It's fraud. It's spam. It's all that stuff rolled into one. So if you see anything like that, that does not come from the official Back of the Pack podcast page, pay no mind to it. It is garbaggio. It is just, again, all I can do is delete the comments. But if I'm not in a place where I can delete quickly, they're out there for a minute or two. Don't buy it. Do not give them your information, any kind of payment information. Don't do any of that because it is 100% bull dinky. And I don't want you guys getting your debit cards compromised, shall we say. So if you want a Back of the Pack podcast t-shirt, we are doing a pre-order right now. I am not asking you for any money information. The only thing I want is for you to respond to something. If you go back on Facebook or Instagram, you'll see the original post and just say, I want one. I, Kyle Walker, host of the Back of the Pack podcast, will reach out to you to get size information, and then we will pay over PayPal or Venmo because that is what is really convenient and less likely to have fraud. I am not asking you for a debit card. No, absolutely not. We will do it through a payment service, whether it be PayPal or Venmo. I can do either. So you've got a few more days on the pre-order if you want to get a shirt. We're doing the Back of the Pack podcast shirts. Again, a pre-order. Venmo, PayPal is all we're going to take, and I will reach out to you to get this information and to get the process completed, okay? Don't listen or buy in to anyone else unless it is I, Kyle Walker, or from the official Back of the Pack podcast Facebook page. So I didn't expect to have to go into all of that today, but yet here we are. Now, another thing, if it sounds like I sound a little funny, you are not wrong. So, though, I guess the one good thing about taking all this time off around the holidays, I have been sick as a dog for 3 weeks now. I hear it's going around. It is just like this uber cold that is just decimating people. But I started coming down with it on Christmas Eve. And here on January 8th, I still have a terrible cough and I still feel like in my head I don't sound right. So I'm sorry about that. Nothing I can do about it. I'm trying. I'm taking all the over-the-counter stuff, trying to get better. But man, this thing's holding on. It just will not go away. And it stinks. So I apologize if I sound weird. So hey, 2023 is in the books. It was the wildest running year I have ever had. So I'm gonna spend this episode just kind of going over where the podcast has been. I feel like you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've been. And if we think about it this way, if you look at New Year's Day and then New Year's Eve, the following year, we have the start line and we have the finish line. Okay. So that dash, as I knock my microphone, that dash in between the dates, that's the race. All right, that's the race for us during a calendar year. That's the race for us when we get to a starting or when we get to an actual course. There's the start line, which, your start line is this big, and then there's a finish line that's this big. The race takes place here. And that's how our years work out. Everything in between New Year's Day and New Year's Eve, that's the race. And so that's where all the fun stuff has happened. In 2023, myself and this podcast did 40 races, which is a new record for me. Now, again, I started running in 2010. So in 2023, I'm running the most that I have ever run before. And that is actually a tribute to everyone here. Anyone who's listening to this podcast, I did all these races so that we could talk about it together on the podcast and so that I could see the members of the Kansas City running community and others, because I did travel, and I could see our running friends and I could see the people who listen to the show, and we could talk and build and strengthen our running community, which, as you all know, is very important to me. And I feel like for 2023, mission completely accomplished. I feel like the running community here is great. I'm not going to say it's as best as it's ever been, and I'm not saying it's because of me or the podcast. No, none of that. I think that we've recovered well from coronavirus in 2020 and of course 2021 and the years that we kind of lost doing a lot of the races. I feel like we're really back, and I just feel like with all the stuff going on that we are a very tight-knit running community, and it grows. It grows every day, and people get more and more involved, and that is really great. One of the things that I think has brought us together, and now I'm segueing out of 2023 for just a moment, but this recently showed up. There is a runner that a lot of you know here in the Kansas City area, Scott Green. He has been diagnosed with a lot of really terrible medical stuff, and I'm not going to go into all that. There is now a race for him that is coming up in March. And I want to make sure that we get this out there front and center. I put it on the Facebook page. I shared the link where you can register. Because he is known as the bearded runner, the race is the Beard Race, okay? BEARD race. It is going to be on March 10th. It is going to be at Shawnee Mission Park, that is in Lenexa, Kansas. If you are listening to this and you are local to Kansas City or you are willing to make a drive, I want everyone to get out there and register for that race. The proceeds from the race will go to Scott and his family to combat medical expenses and all other expenses associated with what's going on. If you are hearing this, and I know you are, because we're going to have just people blowing up this episode because this show's going to just go insane this 2024 year. I'm just sure of it. But until we get to that point, whoever listens right now, I want you guys to go get signed up for the Beard Race. It is a 5K and 10K, do whichever one you want. And then family friendly, also going to be food and stuff following the race. So don't just plan on coming, running, and leaving. Plan on staying. Bring a change of clothes. It's early March. Who knows what the weather's going to be? It could be super cold. It could be super warm. It could be beautifully pleasant. Don't know, don't care. Dress appropriately. But everyone get to the Beard Race March 10th. You can see the sign up on our Facebook page. And I want everybody there. Like everybody. If you want to wear your Back of the Pack podcast shirt, get it pre-ordered. You will definitely have it in time. And then I want you to wear it to that race. I'll be there. I'm already registered. The Back of the Packettes, they will be there. They're already registered. So I want everyone there. Okay. So that was just, I had to jump into 2024 for just a second. Won't be the last time I mention that race. I can promise you that. It's going to happen. So just be aware that this is a thing. Okay. Back to 2023. We, again, had 40 races, not all of them here in Kansas City. I did travel around a bit, which was great. I really am enjoying traveling around and doing races, whether I get to kind of mingle with people or not. Even if I'm just there in the Back of the Pack podcast shirt and maybe someone sees me from a distance, super great. But 2023 is going to be really hard to top, although I think we can do it in 2024. Not only is it going to be hard to top because I did my dream race, and we'll get there, but I think in 2024, again, because of the connections we're making and the places we're going to go and the people we're going to meet, I really think we can actually top 2023. And that was already the best year ever. So 2023 started the same way that 2024 is going to start. Battle of the Bean. Again, if you're in Kansas City, you're going to hear a lot of races that are familiar. There are definitely some where we traveled around. Battle of the Bean is where we started in 2023. A fun little 5K, which is Team Coffee versus Team Cocoa. Team Coffee right here, all the way. Cha-ching, go team. And it's a fun little 5K. It's in January. It's cold. Ran that race with our good friend Sarah, who is a local runner around here. Mad shout out to Sarah. And again, I want to give shout outs to anyone I can think of if we did a race together this year. But Sarah and I ran that race and it was a fun one. It was a cold one. We did it. No problem. Went and had coffee with everyone after the race. Even better. All right. After that, what did we do? We went to, oh, there we go. The kickoff 5K, a football themed race held on Super Bowl Sunday. How can you not enjoy it? So again, that one was fun. Shout out to Terry, who's a huge Chiefs fan. I know she was there. Will, my guy, he was there. So another fun race. Then it was the John Brown half marathon. And I know a lot of people right now are either rolling their eyes or going, just giving us the big old ugh. And then there's some people who are thrilled. The John Brown half marathon was a difficult half marathon on kind of it's not technically a trail race, although it could have been considered that. And again, Brad, you know I love you, and I'm not bashing your race, but nobody liked that race. We all hated it, and then we all signed up to do it again. So it was a very difficult race. It was on a kind of a chilly day. It started chilly, and then it got warmed up. So the frozen ground kind of thawed as we were doing the race, and it kind of got muddy. But man, that race was killer because it was just basically up a hill, turn around, come back down the hill. But that was a difficult race. So John Brown, that was in Osawatomie, Kansas. Yeah, say that three times fast, but that was a fun one, and I know we all signed up to do it again. So next after that, we did the Cookie Run 5K. It's a race benefiting the Girl Scouts. You can't go wrong. You could pick up cookies there. Ta-da. Then after that, we did the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4 miler. That race was important to me for a few reasons. I like the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4 miler. It's a race I do every year. It goes through Westport in Kansas City, Missouri. The bar that we always meet at, all right, people have asked, why do we always go to Kelly's when we do a Westport race? Kelly's Inn and Bar was my father's favorite bar. So I go there kind of in honor of him. And I like going there. It's a good atmosphere, especially as you're getting close to St. Patrick's Day. You can't beat it. And that is where we did the 1 year birthday party or 1 year anniversary for the Back of the Pack podcast. It was great. People came out. We all had drinks together. They even sang the podcast Happy Birthday. The gentleman who was behind the bar thought there was an official birthday, so he brought over a birthday shot of Jameson whiskey. I took it, even though it wasn't my birthday, but it was a great celebration to the podcast. We had cake, we had cupcakes, we had everyone celebrating. That was super fun, and we are doing it again this year. So after the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4 miler, we will be at Kelly's Inn. We will have our drinks for the second anniversary for the Back of the Pack podcast, and that is actually on March 9th. So we have a big weekend that weekend in March. March 9th, Westport St. Patrick's Day 4 miler, Back of the Pack second anniversary party. March 10th, the beard run. Okay, so big weekend, but we're going to do it because that's what we do. After that, St. Patrick's Day 5K. A lot of people now are either ugging that or rolling their eyes at that. Why? That was the coldest race of the year. It was held on March 18th. You would think in March 18th, maybe the temperatures are starting to inch a little forward. Nope. Nope, sure didn't. That was the coldest race that I did in 2023. I think our wind chill at the start of the race was -2, -3, somewhere in there. Super cold. That one, no bueno. After that, we went to the Liberty Hospital half. We heard them talk on the podcast around that time of year. We had a table up at the expo, so that was super great. I hope to be at their expo again this year. We're going to have them on. Now, if you haven't heard, Liberty Hospital is going through some issues right now, some technical issues. Supposed to have them on shortly. A lot of it's going to depend on if we can connect and get past those technical issues that are affecting the hospital right now. So we're working on it. I'm just letting you know we're working on it. We're going to have Liberty on as soon as we can. Their race is coming up at the end of March. Don't miss it. Exceedingly challenging half marathon in Liberty, Missouri, but worth it. The bling is great. It's one of the bigger half marathon medals that you're ever going to see. The bling is fantastic. The course, difficult, but rewarding. Nobody finishes that course and doesn't feel like they've accomplished something. You've done something if you finish the Liberty half. Okay. So just be aware. Be aware. That's coming up. After that, we did Jaden's Bug Run. I did the 10K on that one. That was fun. Then we moved along to Rock the Parkway, one of the biggest half marathons in this area. Again, done in Kansas City, Missouri. All the runners in Kansas City do Rock the Parkway. It's a staple. It's a great race. The folks who run it, Casey Running Company, they are on point with this now. This is going to be, I mean, they're definitely over 10 years, or we're probably closing in on year 15 of this race ish, close in between 10 and 15. They've got it down. Great race, great medal, great after race party. You're in April at that point, so normally not bad. Then I went and did the big one. The big one of all races, the one that I can say that I got off my list, the one that was number one on the bucket list. I got to go to Boston, Massachusetts and run the Boston Marathon. Now, 2 days before the marathon, I did the Boston Marathon Weekend 5K. That was the biggest 5K I've ever done. I don't know how many people ran that race, but it was thousands upon thousands of people. The finishers of the race, people were finishing the race before I ever crossed the start line, and they weren't trying to do this wave start nonsense. That's how many people and how long it took for us to get around and go at the start line of the Boston 5K. The cool part about the Boston 5K, about 2 miles in with 1 mile left, you actually run through the finish line of the Boston Marathon. So you get to see it as it's kind of getting set up and as it's getting ready. And let me tell you, that gets your attention real quick when that happens. But did the 5K, took it real easy because I knew the Boston Marathon was coming right up. Then was the big one. Then was the Boston Marathon. Everyone can go back if you so desire and see. I did 2 episodes on it back in April. I live streamed me coming down the finish line of Boston. I can't say enough good things about it. My Boston Marathon charity team that I was a part of, you guys are still awesome, and I still love you all to death. And I can't wait to run more races with you. Uh, to all of them again, love you guys. But to finish the Boston Marathon was just exceedingly special. I can't really put it into words, and I don't want to re-dive into it because I know we've heard it enough. If you listened last year, but again, to everyone who helped me get there through the charity team, thank you all so much. Anyone who donated to me to run Boston, again, thank you. Number one on my bucket list, and it was taken care of in 2023. And I mean, it's right here behind me. Look at the thumb. There's the edge of it. There's the Boston medal. And I still can't say enough good things about it. But man, the Boston Marathon, amazing. After that, we came back home and we did the Top City Half Marathon. Now, the Top City Half Marathon takes place in Topeka, Kansas. A great race. I had a glowing review of them when we did it last year. Again, a race I did not expect to be anything special, just a race. Actually turned out to be one of the best races I did in 2023. Can't recommend them enough. They're going to be on the podcast here shortly. Looking forward to talking to them, and we're going to talk to them all about this year's Top City Half Marathon. I'll be there. I want you to be there. Again, a great half marathon in Topeka, Kansas. If you want to make it down there, I highly recommend it. Loved that race. Was glad I did it. Next, we came back. We did Outpacing Melanoma. That is a 5K in Overland Park, Kansas that I do with my family. That is the only 5K of the year that Mrs. Back of the Pack will attend. She does that in honor of a family member who unfortunately had to go through the skin cancer and things of that nature. So we do that to honor Carolyn. And again, a 5K in Corporate Woods. You guys know that course. We know it well. But again, always glad to support a good cause. After that, we did the Bill Snyder Highway Half Marathon, my first time doing this race, and it is in Manhattan, Kansas. That is the home of the K-State University, K-State Wildcats. A great race. I was super surprised. Went down there on Memorial Day weekend, stayed the night in a hotel, bust out to the start line and ran back. That is actually still to this day my half marathon PR. That race was just everything hit right that day. I ran well. Good course. You're running along a highway. Like, honestly, they close a lane. You're on the Bill Snyder Highway. They just kind of take you 20 miles out and you run back to the campus. You finish on the football field. Bill Snyder himself was there. I didn't stand in that line to take a picture with him, but if that's important to you, you can definitely do it. That was a really great race. After that, Heroes for Hospice 5K, a great one. The Fighting Fentanyl 5K, we've had them on the show twice. They are part of Keeping Clean for Coop to fight the epidemic of opiates and just fentanyl and all the crap that high school kids are having to deal with right now. That is really freaking terrible. So I was glad to do that race yet again. The Father's Day Superhero 5K. That was that one's going to hold a spot in my heart. That was the first 5K I ever got in under 30 minutes. Now I'm looking at my list right here, 29:47. My own, not my only, my first 5K in under 30 minutes. My first of only two is what I was going to say. So that one was a big one. Next, the Stars and Stripes 5K. That was my second 5K in under 30 minutes and the second of only two. but they were back-to-back weekends. So I guess I was in good 5K shape by about that time, which is going to be late June, early July for those. Next, we did the Ward Parkway 4 and the fourth, a 4 miler on Independence Day. Great race. Love that one. Then I went and got really stupid and did the Shawnee Mission Triathlon. So our first ever triathlon for all you triathletes, again, I still say, and I said it back then, you guys rock. You are awesome. I I don't get it. I just don't get it. I did the run okay because that's what I know. The swim about killed me. Apparently, I cannot be used for a flotation device because I really thought I was going to end up at the bottom of that lake. And then the bike whooped my butt because I did not train nearly well enough for it. I thought, hey, back when I was like, what, 4 or 5, whatever it was, I learned to ride a bike. So I'm sure I'm still good now. Well, yeah, I can still ride a bike. Doesn't mean I can ride it well or get up the hills. But I do have a triathlon now to my record, and it might just stay at one. Although the guys who wrote me into this one, the Shawnee Mission Triathlon, they're already trying to rope me into another one in 2024, which is down in Columbia, Missouri. So I don't know. I'm always easily influenced. Oh, is there a cool medal? Okay, I'm in. Such a dummy sometimes. I think I know a few of us with that problem. After that, and another one that people are going to roll their eyes and ugh over, we went out and did the Rock Island Trail Half Marathon. A half marathon at the end of July. It was hot. So hot. So stinking hot. I can't say anything else about the race. Okay, to the race organizers, again, kudos to you. You guys opened it up so people could leave early. People could get on the course. You just tell the guy, hey, I'm starting now. They wrote it down, and then they adjusted the time when you cross the finisher mat. We got a head start, myself and several others. Cody was there. He got a head start, and a few others. And thank God we did. And I still didn't run well. It was the first time in a long time I had a bad half marathon finishing time. And when I finished it, myself and others included, Bethany as well, we and Sarah was out there, we were all dying. Like we were seriously dying. It was so hot. And once people sat down, I don't know about y'all, but the room was spinning. I actually felt like if I stood back up, I was going to pass out. It was so hot. So we'll be out there again. After that, we did the Spencer C. Duncan Make It Count 5K. That honors a fallen soldier here in this area. Good 5K out in Gardner, Kansas. A great cause. After that, we went and saw our friends down in Lawrence, Kansas for the Rexy Run. And I know we'll be back at Rexy Run again this year in August. Rexy Run had a 5K and 8K this year. They benefit Baby J's Legacy of Hope. Again, they are our great and good friends down there. We love Rexy Run. We love Baby J's. So we'll be back down there. If you guys need a race in Lawrence, Kansas in August, you come down and you see us at Rexy Run. Then we came back up here for a couple 5Ks. The Head for the Cure 5K, another one in Corporate Woods, good cause. The Leawood Labor Day 5K, my first time doing it. I should have done better on that course than I did for whatever reason. I just ran a bad race. So I'm looking forward to going back this year and taking another stab at it. Clearly, it's Labor Day weekend, in case you couldn't figure that one out, which I bet you could. Then we jumped into the Heartland 30K series. I have now done it 2 years in a row. I actually really enjoy this series. I would love to do it again this year, but I'm not going to be able to. And we'll go over that when we do the 2024 preview, which won't be this week, probably next week, unless I can get a hold of Liberty. But either which way, so we went and did the Plaza 10K. The Plaza 10K, if you are in this area, if you can get to the Plaza in Kansas City, Missouri, always recommend the Plaza 10K. It is a great course. It really is. It's a fast course. It's a pretty course. And at the beginning, middle-ish of September, you might get a little heat, but you're probably going to get good weather. That's normally when the weather's getting pretty solid in Kansas City. So I definitely recommend the Plaza 10K for anyone who hasn't done it. I've definitely done it many times. Like that race. After that, we got to talk about it. We did the KC Hustle Run. Yay. So if you don't know the KC Hustle Run, that was our run. That was the run that was kind of birthed by the Back of the Pack podcast. It was our run that we wanted to do to help get money to St. Jude. It was our run. I went and I talked to William. William was our race director for this. Our former production company, they were involved as well. And okay, I'll just address it. I couldn't decide if I was going to talk about it or not. I'm going to talk about it this time because we're talking about 2023, and then it's not going to be mentioned anymore. So many people sent me the picture from a few weeks ago. And I know, but look, it's okay. So if you didn't hear the story, we had a former production company Fell out with them. Ugly divorce. Not pretty at all. Don't go into business with your friends because now that person and I were not even friends anymore. Taken off of social medias and unfollowed and unfriended and just it was ugly. I'm still not happy with the way things worked out, but you know what? Them's the way the cookie crumbles. I understand. I didn't see it. I was sent it by several people that our former production company had a photo op with our charity sponsor from the Casey Hustle Run, where the big oversized check was, you know, displayed and given to them for the proceeds from the Casey Hustle Run. No, I was not invited to it. No, I was not tagged in the post personally. My picture is not there, nor is the race directors. It was former production company took the credit, ish. But look, not important. Really, it's not. Honest to goodness, it's not. What is important and what made me actually smile at that picture was even though that race was a debacle and even though that divorce was messy, that race, our efforts, me, Will, production company, and all of you, as I hit the microphone again, I'm going to have to redo this. We were all able to give $4,000 to St. Jude. Okay, that is the long and short of it right there. $4,000 was raised from that race, our race, that went to the St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Look, I couldn't be happier about it. I wish it was $400,000, but that was never in the cards. So the fact we were able to give them anything, the fact that $4,000 was on that check, along with Casey Hustle Run to St. Jude, that was the important part. That part makes me absolutely smile. The rest of it, I don't care. Don't care. So again, I know folks sent it to me. I get it. I understand why. We're done now. We're done. It is done. It is over. All the best to former production company. We, with everything in-house now, we are going nowhere but up, and I'm super stoked. Okay. But the Casey Hustle Run. So that was awesome. After that, we finished the Heartland Series with the Boulevard 10K, a brand new race down in Kansas City, Missouri. Good race. Recommend that race. Hopefully we do it again this year. After that, Oktoberfest 5K, a fun little 5K. Jared Coon's Pumpkin Run. Jared Coon's Pumpkin Run in Olathe, Kansas. If they ever listen to this podcast, I don't want them to ever say that I thought ill or spoke ill of them. I don't. A great cause and a great race. I'll never do that race again. Too many kids. That is my running snobbery coming out of me, but there are too many stinking kids at that race. You can't look at it like a 5K. You can't look at it like I'm going to go and run hard or I'm going to go set a PR or I'm going to go get the best race that I can. You can't because there's too many kids. All the elementary school kids from the Olathe School District come out to that race. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea where to line up. They have no idea what their speeds are, what their tempo is, what their pacing is, what their stamina is. They got no freaking clue. So every 200 feet, you got a kid stopping dead in front of you, coming to a dead stop, turning around and looking for mom or dad or their buddies. And you're basically hurdling children as they stop directly in your path. Again, I wish the Jared Coons Pumpkin Run nothing but the best, and that is the honest to God's truth. And I'm so glad that they've been doing it for so long and they are doing it so well, and they are raising buku bucks for their cause. That is great. I just can't do that race again. It about killed me. After that, we did the Garmin Kansas City Half Marathon. We've had Dave on this before, the race director for the Garmin Kansas City Half Marathon. He'll be on again this year. We love Dave. We love that race. That is our race. That is the Kansas City race right there. The Garmin Kansas City Marathon starts in front of the Nelson Atkins Art Museum. We've got the post-race party. Like that is our race. I take pride in that race because that race is Kansas City. So I love doing the half marathon. Be back again, be out there again this year. Again, everyone who listens in this area, we take pride in that race. After that, okay, so after that, Cody and I, we went down to Midland, Texas, and did the Energy City Half Marathon. And we got in a little bit of trouble for it because some people thought our review of it was too negative. Upon reflection, I still am really sorry that anything came across negative. It's one of those races that in the moment and due to exertion from the race, because we drove home directly after the race. Like we went back to the hotel, packed our crap, showered up, and hit the road. And that's a long drive back from Midland, Texas to Kansas City. I think in our tired state, we probably were too negative. And again, upon reflection, and I know Cody has said this and I've said this, like we have nothing but good memories and good feelings for that race. And I wish them all the best in 2024. Who knows? Maybe I'll go back down there and do it again because I actually feel like I kind of screwed them over a little bit when we were again, it wasn't overly negative. It was slightly negative, maybe. So I don't know. I might actually go back down and do it again because this time I know exactly what to expect. A flat course on a beautiful day. And again, the only thing that got me was I had thoughts and ideas that weren't based in reality. So I what I thought was going to happen didn't. And so yeah, we went down there with preconceived notions. It didn't meet those. And so we might have been a little negative. And again, for them, for the 100th time, I offer my apologies. It was not our intent. Maybe I'll go back there and do it again because now I know exactly what to expect. I'll have to look at the calendar, but that might actually happen because then I'd feel better about it. After that, went to Lincoln, Nebraska for the Good Life Habsy. That race is awesome. I'm trying to get a group of us together to go in. It is actually going to be October 27th of 2024. I would love a Back of the Pack podcast following of in the Good Life Habsy up in Lincoln, Nebraska. I think that's one that we would all very much enjoy traveling up there and doing together. So stay tuned for that information. But Good Life Habsy was a great half marathon. Then Veterans Day 10K, good 10K in Parkville, Missouri. Loggerhead Half Marathon. Loggerhead Half Marathon, for whatever reason, it has my number. This race has my number, and I've talked about it before. So what happens in 2023 when I don't feel like I ran my best race? I got to go back in 2024, and I got to run a better race. So Loggerhead, I'm coming back for you. And I know we've talked about it. We talked about it before the break, that you guys are calling this your last half marathon, the last Loggerhead. A, I hope that's not true. And B, if it is, I better go and have my best Loggerhead race because for whatever reason, that race kicks my butt. Although I really enjoy it. I enjoy the hoodie that you give out. I like the medals. I like the course. I like the town. And it's in Ottawa, Kansas. Why can I not do better at this race? I don't know. I don't know, but it bugs me. But I'm gonna be back at Loggerhead this year. After that, the Ward Parkway Thanksgiving Day run. Again, you can't take that run too serious. It's on a holiday. Families, kids, everyone's out there. It's a huge race. A lot of people. You just go and you have fun with it. That's what I did. So a good race. Then, woohoo, we went down to Memphis, Tennessee, and did the St. Jude Memphis Marathon. It was awesome. You guys don't have to go back very far, and you can hear my review of that. Great race. Memphis, fun little town for me to visit. I had never been there before, but the race was super great. Going through the campus of St. Jude was amazing. Again, an overall very positive, very good experience for both the town and the race and the weekend. We went down there. There was our first time marathon finisher, Allison. Allison, shout outs to you. Your very first full marathon. Amy was down there doing the half marathon. And then I was down there plugging along on the full. And along with some others, January, you were down there. January, who does just a ton for St. Jude, which is just freaking awesome. So a great race. Go back a little bit and listen to that review. Not that the review was so great, but the race was. So hear about how great that race was. Then we got to the Westport Santa Dash. The Westport Santa Dash, one that we've done previously. Not gonna lie, it wasn't my best time, although it wasn't bad. But I just remember how much my knees were still hurting from running the full marathon a couple days before. Not a couple days. I think I had 6 days. 6-day recovery. And then I did that one. And then we finished up with the Great Santa Run. The Great Santa Run, of course, is my running anniversary. That was the very first 5K I did in 2010. Got to do it again in 2023. So I love it. And then we find out that that's it. That's it for the Great Santa Run, at least as we know it. The place where the race is hosted, Johnson County Community College, has told them no more. We're not doing this anymore. We're not going to let you hold your race here, which, I'm sure a community college is super busy on a Sunday morning in December on Christmas break. Huh? So JUCO, bad on you. Like for serious, bad on you, JUCO. Not that any of you care what I think, but yeah, I was bummed to hear that. I hope the Great Santa Run continues, but now it's going to need a new home on where to do it. So that stinks that it's not going to be at the spot that it's been at since I first started racing in 2010. So what a bummer. Lastly, on New Year's Eve, I was supposed to go to Parkville, Missouri. I was supposed to do the time travel half marathon, which is through Body's Race Company. I couldn't. I was sick. I've been sick. I've been sick since Christmas Eve. I'm still not perfect now. And New Year's Eve was one of the worst of it. I couldn't even go to my New Year's festivities because I was bad. I was bad. This thing had been kicking my rump and I was just not having it. Not having it. So that was 2023. Again, a crazy year, but an amazing year, meeting a lot of people. And again, okay, I went through all those races and I hope this person is still stuck with me. But Still, the highlight was meeting Kelsey at the Boston Marathon Expo. That was it. The fact that I'm just strolling around the Boston Marathon Expo again for one of the most important races ever, and I'm just walking along dumb as dirt, and someone hollers at me because of the podcast. Oh, that was the greatest thing ever. So that was still a highlight of 2023. And yeah, no, I don't think anything's going to top that ever. So that was super fun. 2024, again, we're going to talk about it on a future episode. It's going to be a great year. We're going to make this a great year because I know you guys are awesome enough to make this a great year. I told you at the start of the show how we're going to do it. Now I just need you guys to do it. And hopefully this episode wasn't too painful. I'm sure I'm a little out of practice as it's been a while. It's been several weeks since we've done a new episode, but I'm super glad to be back in the saddle. I'm glad to be here with our new background and our new podcast studio area. So now I get to edit this and see what it sounds like. But hey, I'm excited. Let me know what races you're excited for. Make sure you play along with all the stuff that we do. Don't forget that on Mondays, it's Medal Monday. Post a medal. If you didn't do a medal or didn't get a medal that past weekend, post one out of your collection, one that you thought was super cool. On Thursdays, we have Race Shirt Thursday. Put on a race shirt that you like. Either you like the shirt, you like the race that you did, you liked the area. I don't know, whatever you liked about them. Take a selfie and post it for us. That's where you can, kind of show off, get your selfie game on. And then of course, we're out on the weekends. I'd love it if you'd post, tag us in it, tag us in anything on old Facebook or Instagram. That's what we've got it for. There are other running communities out there that have a very similar theme to the Back of the Pack podcast. And then, of course, they've got thousands upon thousands of followers, and people just post on their page to talk about their runs and to get the encouragement and whatnot. I would love for that to be us. I would love for that to be our social media presence. It doesn't have to just be me. God, this show is better when I'm less involved. But hey, anytime you want to post something on Facebook, tag us in it, put it on our page. Use that as a way to get encouragement and to talk to people and connect because we're getting more people. We're almost to 1,000 likes, which I think is really good for such a small thing. We're well over 1,000 followers now, but we're almost to 1,000 likes on old Facebook. But now next we need to get YouTube. If we can start getting everything out, the subscriptions and everything going on YouTube, that's when we are really cooking with gas. And we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I'm excited about what 2024 has to offer. So I hope you are too. So anyway, that is going to do it for this episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker. It has been my pleasure. As always, I am so glad that we are back. Please reach out to the podcasters if there's anything you want us to mention, to talk about, to review, to try and get to. We're doing more traveling races in 2024. All that information is coming soon. But trust me, we're hitting the road. And if you have a podcast, you do have a podcast you love, it's this one. If you have a race that you love that is in your area and your area is not Kansas City, or you have traveled to one previously and you want us to get there, let me know. I will absolutely try and get there 100%. We went to Midland, Texas. We went to Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm happy to take recommendations on races, and I will do my darndest to get us there. So, hey, everyone, have a great week of training, which is actually going to be tough as it is snowing right now, and we've got some bad days coming. Reach out to us, and everyone be safe this week. Don't push it too hard on these terrible sidewalks and roads. Be safe. We'll be back next week with a new episode of the Back of the Pack podcast as we start sludging through the winter and heading towards spring. So we'll see you next week.